Welcome to our journey through Rich Dad Poor Dad. In our last episode, we uncovered the foundational differences between a rich and a poor mindset. Today, we dive into Chapter 2, titled Why Teach Financial Literacy. It's a chapter that challenges our understanding of wealth. It's not just about how much money you make, but how much you keep. So, are you ready to discover the secrets of financial longevity? Let's turn the page together. Why teach financial literacy? In this Chapter 2 of Rich Dad Poor Dad, the focus is on the vital lesson that true wealth is not just about the amount of money one earns, but more importantly, how much is retained and grown. The chapter begins with the story of Mike, who took over his father's business empire in 1990 and has been remarkably successful, surpassing even his father's achievements. This story sets a backdrop for understanding. Robert Kiyosaki, the author, reflects on his own life, sharing his retirement experience at the age of 47. He emphasizes that retirement for him and his wife Kim wasn't about ceasing to work but having the freedom to choose work, thanks to their self-sustaining wealth. He compares this to nurturing a tree which eventually grows strong enough to stand on its own. This analogy illustrates the importance of building assets that grow independently. Kiyosaki addresses common questions about wealth creation and management, using an impactful story from 1923. This story involves a meeting of some of the most prominent businessmen of the time, whose fortunes drastically changed post the 1929 market crash and the Great Depression. This historical example serves to highlight the unpredictable nature of wealth and the critical need for financial literacy and adaptability. He stresses that financial intelligence is crucial for preserving and growing wealth. Kiyosaki cites examples of lottery winners and professional athletes who, despite earning millions, ended up in financial ruin due to a lack of financial knowledge and management skills. He argues that financial literacy is key to not only acquiring wealth, but more importantly, maintaining and growing it across generations. The narrative then shifts to the importance of building a strong financial foundation, a lesson Kiyosaki learned from his rich dad. He criticizes the traditional school system for failing to provide this foundation, leading many to seek quick riches without the necessary knowledge base. Kiyosaki underlines the importance of understanding and managing finances, even if it seems mundane or complex, as it's crucial for long-term wealth accumulation. Rich people acquire assets, the poor and middle class acquire liabilities that they think are assets. Now Rich Dad's seemingly straightforward advice to Kiyosaki and his friend Mike: rich people acquire assets. The poor and middle class acquire liabilities that they think are assets. Initially, the boys find this advice too simple to be the key to wealth, but Rich Dad insists on the profound impact of truly understanding and applying this principle. Kiyosaki reflects on the challenge adults face in grasping this concept. He notes that the difficulty often lies in unlearning complex definitions taught by professionals like bankers and accountants. Rich Dad, believing in the keep it simple, stupid principle, emphasizes the importance of a simple and strong financial foundation. The confusion surrounding assets and liabilities, according to Kiyosaki, arises from basic education that focuses on literacy but neglects financial literacy. He points out that conventional definitions of assets and liabilities in dictionaries are complex and not easily understood by the average person. This complexity contributes to the common mistake of misidentifying liabilities as assets. Kiyosaki criticizes the pride that prevents adults from admitting confusion over financial terms, arguing that this pride impedes financial understanding and growth. He stresses that realizing and accepting the simplicity behind the concept of assets and liabilities is key to financial success. Robert Kiyosaki continues to delve into the crucial financial lesson of differentiating between assets and liabilities. He begins by simplifying the definitions. An asset puts money in your pocket, while a liability takes money out of it. This fundamental understanding is what sets the rich apart from the poor and middle class. Kiyosaki recalls Rich Dad's teachings, emphasizing that the real difference between assets and liabilities is revealed through numbers, not just definitions. Rich Dad stressed the importance of understanding what these numbers signify, akin to understanding the story behind words. He consistently advised that to be wealthy, one must be adept at reading and comprehending these numbers. The chapter then illustrates the cash flow patterns of assets and liabilities. It explains how an income statement and a balance sheet work, highlighting their interconnection. This simple visual representation was Rich Dad's way of reinforcing the concept that assets bring in cash, while liabilities drain it. Kiyosaki moves on to discuss the typical cash flow patterns of individuals from different economic classes: the poor, the middle class, and the rich. He points out that, regardless of income level, the fundamental financial problem remains the same: a failure to distinguish between assets and liabilities. This lack of understanding leads many to inadvertently acquire liabilities instead of assets. This is the cash flow pattern of an asset. This is the cash flow pattern of a liability. Furthermore, Kiyosaki explores the common misconception that earning more money will solve financial problems. He emphasizes that without financial literacy, an increase in income merely leads to proportional increases in spending, trapping individuals in a cycle of debt. This situation is exacerbated by educational systems that fail to equip students with essential financial skills, leaving many professionally successful but financially illiterate. The narrative unfolds with the story of a young, educated couple embarking on their life together. As their earnings increase, so do their expenses, drawing them into the rat race. Kiyosaki points out that the most significant expense for most people is taxes, including contributions to Social Security and Medicare. This couple, like many others, falls into the trap of lifestyle inflation, buying a new house, car, and other amenities, which significantly increases their liabilities. Kiyosaki then delves into the psychological aspects of financial decisions, highlighting the societal fear of being different or standing out. This fear often leads to conformity in financial behaviors, even when they are detrimental. He shares his personal experiences with his rich dad and poor dad to contrast their differing views on finances and investments. The author scrutinizes the traditional view of homeownership, explaining how a house can become a financial burden due to ongoing expenses and liabilities. He discusses the loss of opportunity that comes with tying up money in a house, leading to missed chances to invest in assets that could grow in value over time. Kiyosaki continues by detailing 3 major financial setbacks resulting from prioritizing expensive homeownership over building an investment portfolio. Loss of time, crucial for the growth of other potential investments. Loss of additional capital, diverted to high home maintenance costs rather than being invested. Loss of investment experience, prevents individuals from becoming sophisticated investors and accessing more lucrative opportunities. He stresses the importance of understanding the difference between assets and liabilities. When contemplating a bigger house, Kiyosaki advocates first investing in assets that can generate the necessary cash flow. Kiyosaki contrasts the financial statements of his poor dad with those of his rich dad. The poor dad's statement, mirroring someone caught in the rat race, shows expenses matching income and liabilities exceeding assets. In contrast, the rich dad's statement reflects financial independence, with income from assets more than covering expenses. The discussion then turns to why the rich get richer. Kiyosaki explains that the rich focus on growing their asset column, which generates enough income to cover expenses, and then some. This surplus income is reinvested, further increasing the asset column and, consequently, income. Kiyosaki also examines the financial struggles of the middle class. Their primary income is through salary, which is heavily taxed. As their income increases, so do their taxes and expenses, keeping them in the rat race. He criticizes the middle class's tendency to treat their home as their primary asset and their failure to invest in income-producing assets. He concludes by emphasizing the importance of financial education. Kiyosaki advises concentrating efforts on acquiring income-generating assets and keeping liabilities and expenses low. As we conclude our exploration of Chapter 2 of Rich Dad Poor Dad, we're left with pivotal insights. Wealth is not just about earning more, but about growing and retaining what you earn. Understanding the difference between assets, which fill your pockets, and liabilities, which empty them, is crucial. This chapter challenges us to rethink what we've learned about financial stability. Are we mistaking liabilities for assets? Are we caught in the rat race, working endlessly for a lifestyle that only deepens our debts? Stay tuned for Chapter 3, Mind Your Own Business. Join us next time as we uncover these mysteries and continue our journey to financial literacy and independence. Do like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and thanks for watching.